Shut up and sit down.
Smelly cat, what are they feeding you? Smelly cat, it's not your fault. Oh, hi. Are you ready?
Show, please. That's perfect.
We are back. It's episode 38 of No One Asked Us. We apologize. We are a day later than normal. We've been putting these shows out on Tuesday. It will be Wednesday. You're pointing because you already want me to introduce you? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm pointing because it's your fault.
It's my fault. Yes. Yes. It is my fault as to why we are putting the show out on Wednesday and not on Tuesday. We'll get into that in a minute. I'm Logan Lee. That's Craig Choate. Don't forget to give us a follow at No One Asked Us Pod. He's at Craig W. Choate. I'm at the Logan Lee. Shoot us an email at noonaskedus2021@gmail.com. And chapters, they're going to be in the description because we'll probably talk about a lot of things and probably go way too long this week. So all that housekeeping's out of the way. Craig's over here doing dances, trying to point at
I'm pointing.
You're pointing at things that are supposed to be above you.
I'm throwing you off is what I'm doing.
Watching you on YouTube and whatever. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening, watching, wherever you get your podcasts. We are doing this a day late. It is my fault, I guess, if you want to blame me. I was traveling yesterday and was anticipating being back into South Bend by yesterday afternoon, but some weather in the greater Chicagoland area pushed my arrival time back several hours. So I had a weekend full of traveling. It was almost going to be a planes, trains, and automobiles kind of weekend for me. But I managed to avoid the trains part, but it still was a planes and automobiles weekend. So went down to Arkansas for a wedding of I don't know if you call him a friend of the pod, but Alex Wilson, who I've probably mentioned on here before because he likes to chime in on things. So went down for his wedding, him and his bride, Ashley. That was a great time in Arkansas. I didn't really know what to expect with Arkansas. I've been to the state twice, both times to Conway, Arkansas, to where Central Arkansas is located, once for women's basketball and once for a FCS playoff game. Their football field, as I'm sure you're aware, is kind of somewhat famous for having a purple and gray striped field, which is pretty cool. But saw ISU play a football playoff game there a few years ago. And then when I was with Saluki women's basketball, we were also there. But I had never been to the Northwest corridor, the Fayetteville, Bentonville, Springdale region. It's a nice area. I was pleasantly surprised. Went and saw our university campus right there in Fayetteville. Beautiful campus. I mean, I haven't been to very many SEC campuses. I can imagine that most SEC campuses especially have some money. I mean, it was beautiful. It was a football stadium, it was huge, and really nice baseball stadium. Just kind of drove around there for a little bit to kill some time, but pleasantly surprised with that. But then had the wedding and everything, and then traveling back was, as I mentioned, a little bit a cluster, if you will. But I am back. I am here. I didn't watch much sports this weekend. So you might be leading the charge in these conversations, Craig, but how are you? How was your weekend? Eventful?
So Bentonville, Arkansas connection here.
Oh,
my uncle, my mom's brother, lived in Bentonville for a number of years.
Really?
Yeah,
Did he work for Walmart?
He's retired now, but he was a bigwig with Wrangler.
Oh, okay.
And Wrangler, I guess, uses Walmart as a big distributor. Yeah. And he was in Bentonville for a number of years. They're back in North Carolina now, but I think I went twice to Bentonville.
Yeah, it's nice. That whole area is nice. Fayetteville, as I mentioned, the campus, the University of Arkansas campus, and then Bentonville is the national headquarters for Walmart, where all that started. So had to kill some time on Sunday before the wedding. So we went to the museum, the Walmart museum, which is the old, the original pharmacy store that he opened up there, whatever he called it. And so the original Walmart itself doesn't exist anymore, but I at least wanted to visit one while I was down there. So we found the one that's located directly across the street from their headquarters, from their big campus. So I thought, if I'm going to go to any Walmart, like the one across the street from the campus is probably the one to go to. And it was in tip top shape. I will admit. So yeah,
probably the only one that's in tip top
it might
shape.
be. It might be. I don't personally, I don't venture to Walmart very often anymore, but
No.
that was great. It was great. Had a good time. Beautiful area. Really nice to see people and do that. Also hit Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri on the way down.
Yeah.
Ate at Guy Fieri's Flavor Town in Branson. That was dope. Food was delicious. Love me some Guy Fieri. But yeah, so that was great. That was great. Yeah, it was a great time. So good weekend, busy, watch a lot of sports.
My family came here.
Okay.
Yeah. My mom and dad and grandma came in Thursday night late, and hung out Friday and Saturday and left on Sunday. So
okay.
A little bit of family time there. Didn't do a whole lot. Cause I still worked Friday during the day. So yeah, we did go to the Louisville game on Saturday. Took that in with the fam, but yeah, good to see him. Don't get to see him much anymore, but yeah, it was a good trip for him.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm glad that we're here, and as you are swatting a fly around or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, glad we're here. We're recording this on Tuesday. The show will be up on Wednesday. World Series starts tonight, so we're probably not going to cover that too much, obviously, because we won't know the outcome of tonight's game. But there's plenty to talk about with football, especially. This Saturday was, well, let's just kick it off. Did you want to cover a moment of the week? Did you have one? Because I feel like all of my moment of the weeks are stuff that we're going to talk about later in this episode. So
I had a couple that can be really quick.
Let's go.
And they both involve former Illini football players. The first one, Whitney Merciless was cut by the Texans.
Yep.
And now he's part of the Packers. So just an update there. Wonder if Lovey was holding a little bit of a grudge there, cutting Whitney. That's neither here nor there though. But good landing spot for Whitney going to the Packers. The other one was DeJuan Smoot. Did you hear this story?
I don't know that I did.
I should have pulled this up. One day last week, it was early last week, DeJuan Smoot's wife went into labor at like 4 a.m.
Yes, I did see this. Okay, go on.
And he delivered the baby himself from their house, which is like, I never, I never get that. He was on the phone with the hospital or paramedics or whoever, and they walked him through it. Adam Schefter had a good tweet. Here it is. I'm just going to read from Schefter's screenshot of the notes app he tweeted out. Jaguars starting D lineman DeJuan Smoot unexpectedly delivered his newborn daughter, Illini Moon Smoot, this morning at 4 a.m. This was October 19th.
Yep.
At their home in Jacksonville. DeJuan and his wife, Amari, were heading out the door to the hospital, and she fell to her knees, and he had to catch his wife, then deliver the baby in his living room. The paramedics talked him through tying the umbilical cord over the phone. Not the umbilical cord over the phone, but talk to him over the phone how to tie the umbilical cord.
Got it.
DeJuan, Amari, and Illini are all doing well after his heroics, which the full team was informed about today. So that was on the 19th. So a week ago. This was Tuesday of last week. Can you imagine that for DeJuan? Like, holy cow.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know if that's his first child or not. It didn't say anywhere, and I haven't looked it up, but congrats to him. DeJuan was a great dude at Illinois. So yeah, just that caught my eye and I wrote it down and wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because those stories always amaze me because I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I remember seeing that, when that tweet was coming across the wire. So yeah, very cool. We'll use that to transition into a very interesting weekend for Illinois football. You and I had, not you and I, like University of Northern Iowa, you and I talked about a couple weeks ago how this game was moved to national television. This was the noon kickoff Eastern time on ABC, nonetheless. And we laughed at the fact that Illinois was going to be playing against a top 10 ranked, granted coming off a loss, Penn State team on national television. Well, come to find out, that might have been the best time Illinois could have been on national television all season, for better or for worse, because admittedly, I did not see much of this game. As I said, a lot of traveling this weekend. So I can't really comment on much that happened prior to the very end of the game, the very end of regulation, at least. Yeah, Illinois football going to Penn State, going into Happy Valley and picking up a win against a team that was previously still in the conversation for a potential shot at a playoff, at least. You know, they'd obviously have to do some work against Ohio State, but they were certainly in the mix prior to their loss at Iowa. Hadn't lost a game all season. So this was a shock for a lot of people. I mostly joked last week about wanting to pick them. I didn't really have any indication as to why I should. I was just feeling a little fun, wanting to have a little fun with it. Ultimately did not pick them, and I'm sure nobody did. But in 9 overtimes, Craig Choate, 9, which I know
asterisks.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that because I, like many people, have a lot of things concerned with that number, but it's still technically and will forever be considered a 9 overtime game. Illinois pulls off the upset 20-18. Wow.
Yeah.
I'll just start from my perspective, because as I said, I did not watch the entirety of this game. Where I was eating lunch, they had on the Northwest or Michigan game. Michigan Northwestern, is that the game that was? Yeah, that I had that game on. I did not see hardly any of the Illinois game. I'm on my drive and I'm talking to somebody and they tell me, check out this Illinois game. And so I pulled up the YouTube TV app while my buddy's driving the rest of the way to Arkansas. And he's driving through these back roads. There are all these twists and turns. And I luckily had cell phone reception, so that was cool. So I was able to watch the last like 4 to 5 minutes of regulation and then every single overtime. That part wasn't very pretty for either team. For Illinois, it's what it is, whatever. But for Penn State, for a team that was still hoping to make a run at something, and for James Franklin, who was in the mix for some high profile coaching jobs, that was not a very good way to end that game for them. But Illinois did come out on top. And I do know, at least from the stats that I've seen, it was the running game that really was dominant for Illinois. And that's kind of been something we've talked about a lot this season, that they do have a pretty strong running attack. It's certainly not the quarterback play, and we'll talk about that too. But you know, kind of walk us through. I'm assuming you saw this whole game from start to finish, or did you turn it on at a certain point, or where were you at?
So I'm going to go here step by step. We talked about not wanting this game to be on ABC, which ESPN PR tweeted out 2 hours ago. ESPN networks aired the top 4 most watched college football games of week 8. That Illinois Penn State game was number 3. Behind Tennessee, Alabama, and behind Oregon, UCLA, ahead of Ohio State, Indiana. 3.8 million viewers, and it peaked with 7.4 million viewers in overtime. Yeah, 7.4 million viewers watched Illinois beat Penn State. So that's crazy. Yes, I tweeted as soon as it happened. I was like, yuck, I do not want this to happen. Put us on Big Ten Network at 5:30 in the morning. Like, I do not want people to see this. But yeah. So yes, I had it on until we had to leave to go to the Louisville game, because Louisville started at 4.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I had it on TV until I don't remember when I turned it off. It was in the 4th quarter, because we were still at the house when the 2 touchdowns were called back. Illinois scored 2 touchdowns, and each time they had a penalty that called them back in the 4th quarter. So we watched at home until that. And then I was trying to watch on the stream, but I was also driving around trying to find parking at Louisville. So it was kind of just a radio show at the time. It was like on through the car speakers, but I was just listening to it. And then walking up to the stadium, I was trying to watch. And then when we finally got into the game, I was able to watch the last 3 overtimes. And I turned it on and I was like, what's going on? It says 16-16 in the 6th overtime, but they're both on the, I was like, what is happening? What is happening? I told Christy and the people we were with, I was like, no, their graphics are wrong. Like there's something wrong with their graphics. This isn't right. It's probably like the 2nd or 3rd overtime. But I was able to watch the end and the last 3 overtimes. So I missed all the ugly stuff apparently, but
it was all ugly.
That's true. That's true.
It was all ugly.
So rewind again to last week. We record the show Monday about the same time, about 5-6 o'clock Eastern. And at the time I had seen Bret Bielema's press conference from the day before, from the earlier that day, but I kind of brushed everything off. I saw what was happening and I was like, all right, whatever. And then after we record, I see all of these national reporters tweeting about this soundbite that Bielema said. I was like, is this really that big of a deal? Like, okay, I guess. And I started researching it. Looking back, we probably should have seen that was kind of a bad thing for Bielema to say, and we should have talked about it, but we didn't. His comments were basically that he had no O-line depth. He said that there's not a player that's been recruited to Illinois in the last 3 classes on their 2 deep on the offensive line, which as soon as I heard it, like I said, it rolled off my shoulders. I didn't think anything of it because I took it as a knock on Lovey and his recruit and his staff, not on the players. Everyone else in the country seemed to think that Bielema was calling out his players. I don't think so, but I see where they're coming from. He could have worded it differently. He definitely could have worded it differently.
I just want to chime in. That's where I stood on it too, for the record. That when I saw it, that's also how I interpreted it. It wasn't, I didn't take it as that was anything against his current players. It was more about the previous regime. So yes, go on.
And that's what he was saying. But everyone nationally that doesn't know Illinois football and doesn't know how the Lovey era panned out, they took it as a dig, and he was shitting on his players. Pardon my French. Tons of articles about how Bret Bielema's lost the locker room. They're not going to win another game. I even replied to some Louisville media members that were tweeting about it that I follow. I replied to him and I was like, look, there's only a couple offensive linemen that Lovey recruited left. Everyone has transferred out of the program that he recruited. So none of them responded to me, but I was trying to defend him a little bit. And then what does Bret Bielema do? He comes out and throws 7 offensive linemen into his formation. Like, I looked at it. Me and my dad both were like, 1, 2, 3, 4. What? But it worked. They were getting 5-6 yards every run. Every single run was 5 or 6 yards. And that's how they won. They just controlled the ball, and Chase Brown and Josh McCray just had wide open holes to gain 5 or 6 yards. And if you gain 5 or 6 yards every play, you're going to get first downs and you're going to eventually get down. Obviously, they only scored 1 touchdown. I think they only scored 1 touchdown on the day, but
that'd be right.
But it was just methodical, and Big Ten Bret just running it down your throat.
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty, but that's the way that this team, I guess, has to win.
Yeah. I mean, that's where their strength is. It's certainly not going to be the passing game, probably the rest of this season. What's ahead of them, we'll talk about that down the road, but yeah, the running game has, to this point when they've had success, that's where it's come from, from the offensive side of the ball. Penn State's a good team. Penn State was, going into it, a top 10 team. They've now fallen quite a bit after losing twice. But yeah, Illinois just found a way to do it. And that's just, as you said, a lot of running the ball. 357 yards on the ground. Chase Brown had 223 of those, including a touchdown, and McCray had another 142 yards on 24 carries. That's certainly something. That passing game, though, that's a mess. 8 for 21, 38 total yards between the two quarterbacks.
They're going to need, said in jest now because Sitkowski actually does need shoulder surgery, but I was going to say they're going to need shoulder surgery after throwing for 38 yards, but Sitkowski is actually getting shoulder surgery.
Yeah. I don't really know what to do there. I mean, they're obviously going to keep rolling Brandon Peters, but I mean, I've seen a few people mention Isaiah Williams' name out there again.
Someone texted me after the game on Saturday. One of my buddies texted me he said, quote, if Illinois is going to stick to the run game and establishing the run, why not put a quarterback back there that adds an element to that and can run the ball?
Run the wishbone. Just run the option. Just figure it out. It's not going to happen.
I just think, I and we're getting into details here.
That's where their strength is.
The blocking schemes and the schematics of a mobile quarterback is different than the pro style. Yeah. Like the linemen are going to have to do different pulling and all their blocking schemes are different for a fast quarterback. So I don't think that's the way they go. I don't either. I understand what people are saying.
Right. I agree. I don't think, as you said, I don't think that's the direction they go either. The defense, they held Penn State, a couple hundred yards, but
that's what
you got to do. Yeah. I mean, and then in the overtimes, as we talked about the asterisk, we'll talk about that here in a second, but they continued to hold them, to limit them. I mean, you can say that maybe that was as bad on Penn State, which probably was, but I mean, I don't think the defense is the problem necessarily. No. And I don't think the running game's the problem. There's certainly some issues here to overcome, but I don't know, man. Illinois picked up the win.
I've been so impressed with the defense since was it UTSA? No, since Virginia. Since the Virginia game, I've been so impressed every week with what they've done. I mean, can we go game by game here? They given up 30 points since Virginia? I don't think they have.
They have not.
20 to Maryland, 13 to Purdue,
13,
14, 24, and 18. I mean, the defense is balling out. I mean, it's incredible. It's just we don't have I say we. I hate saying we. Illinois doesn't have a quarterback that's competent enough to sustain a drive unless you have a running back that's gaining 6 yards a carry, which is a major problem.
So just a couple other notes that I know you had mentioned here. Illinois had 3 turnovers? Is that what I saw you put down?
Yes. Illinois had 3. Penn State had no turnovers. Yeah, so Illinois lost the turnover battle 3-0 and still won the game. But
won the war. So we talked about the Sitkowski thing. He's now out for the rest of the season. Chase Brown was named the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week, rightfully so, after his 223 yards. Let's look ahead now here. Unless you have anything else you want to talk about from that game, but I think we need to.
Just that Sitkowski broke his wrist in the third overtime. So he's having surgery to fix that. And then once that's done, he's having surgery to fix his throwing shoulder, which was injured prior to the season. So he's been playing with an injured throwing shoulder this whole season, which might have impacted his performance. But other than that, no, we're good.
Well, that's promising. So either way, Illinois now 3-5 overall on the season, 2-4 in the conference. Either way, they have 2 wins. What I'm getting at though is that looking ahead to the rest of the season, Illinois on their schedule hosts Rutgers next week, which we'll talk about here in a second. Then they go to Minnesota, to Iowa, and then they host Northwestern. There looks like there's still a couple more wins that could be out there. I don't want to jump the gun. I think, assuming that Illinois is going to win 2 of those 4 games is a mistake. But this could be a 5-win season, which, all things considered, I would probably take it. If that's what happens, but that's certainly not a done deal. But Rutgers and Northwestern, neither of which are very good. Those are really, them and Illinois are really the bottom 3 in the conference. So just a matter of figuring out, what happens in those games. The quarterback situation will need to be figured out.
Yeah.
But if they continue to run the ball like that, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them. I don't see them necessarily winning at Minnesota or at Iowa, but then again, they just won at Penn State. So,
and
all things are possible, I guess.
Minnesota, I mean, they're so wishy. They lost at home
They
to
are.
Bowling Green.
They are.
And then they beat Purdue. Like, you just never know.
And Iowa lost to Purdue. So
yeah, exactly.
Illinois could win 3 more games this year, or they could win 0, and neither would shock me. I mean, to be honest, I mean, that's really where they're at. So we'll just have to see. Rutgers is the next game. That one is coming up this weekend. That one is at home at noon. I did because we talked about the ABC thing about putting them on national TV. They got national TV again the next week. Now they're on ESPN2.
This game's on ESPN2
Minnesota is.
Oh, yeah.
The Minnesota game is. So Rutgers is not. I assume Rutgers is a Big Ten Network game. But I guess Illinois did enough during the Penn State game that they felt like putting them on national TV again in a couple weeks. So Rutgers this weekend at home, as I mentioned, 2 of the 3 worst teams in the conference. You had mentioned the spread. You said it opened up.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up right now.
Where are we at with that right now? Because this is definitely intriguing.
Yeah, so it opened on Sunday, and I retweeted it. Illinois was a 2-point favorite. And I'm looking right now on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Rutgers is now a 1.5-point favorite. So the line is already shifting, and it was shifting even yesterday. So, take that for what it's worth. I don't see what channel this is on. I'm assuming Big Ten Network.
I'm assuming it's Big Ten Network, since it's not listed as ESPN, and it's surely not the Fox game of the week. So, but Rutgers, who has yet to win a conference game, they're 0-4 in Big Ten play, 3-4 on the season. Illinois is 2-3 in the conference and 3-5 overall. We'll just have to see, man. I mean, as I said, I think if Illinois pounds the ball like they did against Penn State, it won't be pretty, but I think there's a couple more wins out there. So that would be a pleasant surprise. I think at this point, I mean, maybe I don't remember what we predicted before the season started. I'm sure we were probably in that, at most 5 to 6 wins range is probably where we were. I don't really remember how optimistic you wanted to be.
I said 6.
Okay. So, I mean, I think 5 is certainly within reach. 6 is not out of the question, but we'll just have to see. So, let's talk about, we have some of those other Big Ten scores from the week. Wasn't a very exciting week, really, other than the Penn State, Illinois. Do you want to talk about the overtime thing? Because I know that's kind of been talked about. This is a very new. Was this the first year they did that?
I believe so. This? Yeah.
So after the first 3 overtimes, which they did have done the same way, where you get your 4 downs.
I thought it was after the first 2. I thought it started.
Or maybe it was after the first 2. Whatever. However it was, first 2 or 3, you get your 4 downs. You either kick your field goal or you score your touchdown, whatever. And then after that, now they're going to this whole. Basically, you get a 2-point conversion. So you're going off of 1 play. And I talked about being in the car. I wasn't listening to the game either. I was just watching it and only giving it about 75% of my attention.
Yeah.
So I was admittedly even confused as to what was going on. I eventually caught on to it by like overtime 7 or something. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what's happening now. I think they did it for player health concerns.
Yes, they did.
To try to limit, the amount of contact guys are getting.
And the Illinois quarterback broke his wrist.
Right, exactly. So, but I'm not sure it really makes a lot of sense. I don't think football is really about 1 play. I've never really thought that. But I mean, whatever. It'll probably change after this. But either way, that 9 overtime, as I said earlier, it'll forever be a 9 overtime game. Yeah. But I think that 9 is definitely a little.
Which that is the longest college football game ever.
Yeah,
9 overtimes.
There's definitely an asterisk there, and I wouldn't be surprised if that rule changes again at some point.
Yeah.
So either way, that's that. So that was really the most exciting game of the weekend from probably all of college football.
Yeah.
Other Big Ten scores: Minnesota won, beating Maryland. Wisconsin went to Purdue and beat them by a couple touchdowns. So Purdue's run at the national or at a top 25 is now done. Michigan won at home against Northwestern 33-7. Ohio State throttled Indiana 54-7. And then as we talked about, Illinois beat Penn State 20-18. So let's go to the power rankings. I believe you sent me a text asking if Illinois is now ahead of Penn State in my rankings. And
By your logic.
And I said something like, those are the rules. Spoiler alert. No, that's not, that's not what's happening here. I did have some changes at the top because some teams didn't play this. I think this is the last week of the bye weeks. Is that correct? I feel like every week from here on out. Oh, you have a friend.
Yeah.
You have a visitor. Would your visitor like to talk?
No, I don't. They're probably running around out there, and yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Either way, I'm not really keeping up with the bye stuff. I should probably not even mention that, but we are really starting to get a full week of Big Ten schedule of a Big Ten schedule coming up starting this week. But a few teams were off, so it was kind of hard to judge everything right now. You want to start at the bottom?
Yeah,
like we usually do. You go ahead. Who do you got at 14?
Northwestern.
You still have, was that who you had last week? Have they changed?
Yeah,
have they've
been there for a long time.
Okay. I have Rutgers there. I pretty much moved my bottom three around just because Illinois won this week. That's pretty much what it came down to. So I have Rutgers at 14, I have Northwestern at 13, and Illinois at 12. Okay. Is that similar to what you have?
Not really.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it. What do you got there?
Rutgers dropped 1 to number 13. They were 12.
Okay.
They are now number 13. Indiana drops 2.
Really?
To number 12.
Moving Illinois up even further.
Yeah. And they're still not 11.
Okay. Oh my God.
Maryland drops down to 10.
All right. Hold on. Stop. just stop.
Are they the 10th best team? No. Are they going to end the year there? No. But they just beat a top 10 team. The other two teams haven't looked that great. Bump them up for a week.
All right, sure. Why not? So run that by me real quick again. You have what now?
Northwestern 14.
Okay.
Rutgers drops 1 spot to 13.
Okay.
Indiana drops 2 spots to 11.
Okay.
Maryland, or 12, 2 spots to 12.
Okay.
Maryland stays at 11. Illinois is 10.
Okay.
I think the bottom 5 are pretty bad, and Illinois just had the best week last week, so they're number 10.
Okay.
They'll probably be back down to 12 next week, but
all right, fair enough. As I said, I have Rutgers 14, Northwestern 13, Illinois 12. Illinois moving up 2 spots, the other 2 moving down 1 spot. My 6 through 10 or 6 through 11, I did not touch. Those teams did nothing this week. Some of them didn't even play to really give me a reason to move anybody up or down. So 10, I have Maryland at 11, I have Indiana at 11, Maryland at 10, Purdue at 9, Nebraska at 8, Minnesota at 7, Wisconsin at 6.
Okay.
Did not change from last week. So where are you at? What do you need to fill in there?
I flipped Minnesota and Purdue at the 7 and 8 spot. So Minnesota goes up from 8 to 7. Purdue drops from 7 to 8. So Nebraska 9, Purdue 8, Minnesota 7, Wisconsin 6.
Okay. All right. Understood. And now, obviously, we have the same teams in the top 5 spots. Our order might be a little differing here. I moved Penn State down to 5 after losing to Illinois. I had them, I believe, in the 3 spot last week. They are now down to 5. I believe there's still a clear difference between 5 and 6 in the Big Ten. I think Penn State, even after they now have 2 losses and are out of the playoff mix, I think they're still clearly at least the 5th best team in the conference. So I have them at 5.
That's probably the right move, but I did not move Michigan State from there. I'm still not totally in on Sparty yet. So I'm keeping them, even though they're 7-0, top 10 team in the country, I'm keeping them at 5.
Right. I debated that too. I wasn't totally, I'm still not sure where to put Michigan State, but Penn State does have 2 conference losses now.
Yeah.
So that's in Michigan State, Michigan and Ohio State don't have any. So that's essentially the reasoning as to why I do that. So I have Penn State at 5 and I have Michigan State at 4. Are you the opposite?
Yep. Penn State
Okay.
4.
Number 3, I probably should have done this last week. But because they didn't play this week and the other team did play and they're still undefeated, I have Iowa now at 3.
Same.
Which is what I believe you had last week. Was that how you had it?
I had Iowa 4 last week.
Okay. So I have Iowa moving down a spot. Last week I had them still at 2. But as I said, because Michigan put a beating on Northwestern, still doesn't have a loss, and Iowa does have a loss. I have them 3, Michigan 2, and then Ohio State sticking at number 1.
Same, exact same. I dropped Penn State. They were 2, so I dropped them 2 spots to 4. So Iowa and Michigan each bump up 1 to 2 and 3.
Okay. All righty. Let's talk about the tier thing, the who's in the playoff. My little system I have going here. Not a lot changed. A couple of fringe teams did lose to knock themselves out of the mix. Coastal Carolina and NC State are now gone. Again, neither of them really had a shot, but they were still in the mix. Penn State, is gone at this point.
Yeah, they're done.
They're done. I don't think they're getting in the playoff, but I mean, if they still have games against Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State coming up. I'm not saying it's going to happen that they're getting in the playoff, but I certainly think there's a chance they could. I don't know. It's a long shot at this point, but I wasn't sure if I should move them totally out or just like on the very, very fringe. A 2-loss Big Ten team is likely not getting in the playoffs. So I think it's probably safe to say that they're out. So yeah, other than that, I did move a couple teams around in terms of their status. Oklahoma State did lose their first conference game this week. Is that correct? I think they lost, right? Okay. Yeah. So they did lose this week. So I moved them down to that 3rd tier. They're basically 1 loss away from totally being wiped from the world. And then I switched a couple of teams that I probably should have switched last week that I didn't. I switched Iowa and Oregon. I had Iowa in that front runner tier because they're on that weaker side of the division in the Big Ten, and they're likely going to be playing for a Big Ten championship. But I switched them in Oregon, who I had kind of on that 2nd tier. So not much else changed other than that. So I still have 7 teams basically that I'm calling front runners for those 4 spots. Georgia, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, and Oregon. And then I have the tier of Michigan State, Wake Forest, and Iowa, who I think are still hanging around until they do something else to prove that they're not. And then there's another 8 or so teams that are, still hanging, but they're not likely going to get in there. Wake Forest, though, still winning. I mean, I don't see an ACC team getting in the playoff this year, but you never know. I mean, they're not. Yeah. They may make it to the end without a loss, so that'll certainly make it interesting. I don't think they're top 4 material. We still don't have a the top 25 from the committee. Yeah. I imagine it'll be something similar to what's already out there with the polls, something like Georgia, Cincinnati, Oklahoma. Pick your poison, Alabama or Ohio State somewhere. I mean, those are really your front runners, I think.
November 2nd, the first ones come out.
Okay. So we have one more week without that. So that's that. Yeah, just a few teams bowed out this year or this week with those losses. So anything stick out there for you in terms of the world of college football before we get into picks for this week?
No. I watched Coastal Carolina, Appalachian State stuck out to me.
Yeah.
I watched that game. I love those. I told Christy that when I turned it on, because I turned it on and she was like, really, we're watching that. And I love watching those group of 5 team games when they play, when the teams are good. Like, I don't want to watch UConn, UMass or something like that. But like, App State, Coastal Carolina were 2 good football teams, and it's so much more fun when the small schools are good playing each other. So I watched that and it was entertaining, but nothing else sticks out to me now.
All right, let's head into our picks for the week. Last week, just to recap, Craig has closed the gap on me a little bit. Craig went 8-2 last week, and I went 6-4. So we were identical 4-1 in the Big Ten, but he went 4-1 on the national games, and I went 2-3 in those. I don't have it pulled up in front of me what I missed on, but I'm sure they were great. So now on the season so far, I'm 87-31, and Craig is 81-37. So about a 6-game lead for me, and hopefully I can extend that as we go into this next week. What is this, week 9 of the college football season? I don't remember. I can't keep
I
up.
believe so.
All right, whatever. Let's start in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Southern, who is still ranked number 3 in the country. They are 6-1. They did not play last week. They had to Northern Iowa, who is 4-3 on the year and ranked number 16 overall. You taking the Dogs or are you taking the Panthers?
SIU does not play well in Frostbite Falls.
True.
But I'm not going to go against SIU at this point.
Nope.
Give me SIU.
Nope. Why would you? I will take Southern as well. Go Southern, go. We'll head to the now American Athletic Conference, but soon to be part of the Big 12. I don't think we talked about that on the show. The rest of the college realignment domino effect. We might talk about that at some point down the road, but yeah, that was announced. So SMU, who still has yet to lose this season, one of 2 undefeated teams in the American. They're number 19, 7-0, going to Houston, who's pretty darn good themselves. They're 6-1. Who you taking in this battle for Texas?
This might be the first American game that we've picked this year.
Not Cincinnati.
Not Cincinnati. Yeah. First American versus American.
That's true.
Give me the home team. I'll go with Houston, the unranked Cougars.
Okay.
Just like fair. Bill Walton this week on College Game Day. I love the Cougars.
I did not catch any of that. I'm really upset about it. I would have liked to have seen that. I will take SMU. I think their season continues on. Setting up. I don't know when they play Cincinnati, but I know that's coming. Cincinnati is going to have to beat both Houston and SMU if they want to still have a shot at the
November 20th,
the college football playoff. So got about a month from now for that one. So yeah, I'll take SMU on the road. Let's move now to another undefeated team, San Diego State. They host Fresno State. You're going to take San Diego State at home to keep their undefeated season alive, or are you going to take the road team?
This one I had to do some research.
Yeah.
San Diego State hasn't been as tested. Fresno State's played some teams. Remember early? They played Oregon and UCLA.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They beat who they beat. They beat UCLA. Yeah. I'm going to take Fresno. Okay. Did you know Brady Hoke's coaching San Diego State?
No.
Yeah, Brady Hoke, former Michigan coach.
Yeah.
This is his second year at San Diego State. I had no idea. Okay. But yeah, give me Fresno.
You mean you do research for the show? Is that something we're supposed to do?
You don't have to. You're winning the picks, so.
Damn right. I'm going to take San Diego State. I'm going to pick the 2 undefeated teams to keep their undefeated seasons alive. So, yeah, we differ on that one as well. Another game, prime time here in South Bend. Notre Dame hosts North Carolina. Notre Dame is 6-1 and number 11 in the country. You're going to take the Irish or the Tar Heels? What you got, Craig?
Give me UNC. They were highly touted going into the year. They've kind of underperformed. Still don't think Notre Dame's very good. So give me UNC on the road.
Okay. I'm going to take Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's figuring some things out. Think they're a long shot for the playoff at this point, but I think they'll win this one at home. Texas goes to Baylor, another battle in the state of Texas this week. This one in the current Big 12 conference. Who are you taking? You taking Texas or are you taking the Fighting Chip Gaineses?
I feel like we have a Texas game, like the Longhorns on here every week. I feel like Texas and Notre Dame.
Somebody else needs to pick these games then, because
this is the best game in the Big 12.
Clearly, somebody has an infatuation with Texas. Would
you rather pick Oklahoma, Texas Tech?
Are you Matthew McConaughey?
No.
All right. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. Go ahead. No, we're doing this. We're doing Baylor in Texas.
I feel like every time they're on here, I pick Texas. So I'm going to keep picking Texas. Also, because I know you're going to pick Chip Gaines. So I'm going to pick Texas.
I was actually going to take Texas.
Oh, wow.
Picking against Chip this week.
Wow.
Picking against
Okay.
Chip. I usually pick Chip. Love Chip. Love Joe too. I don't have any ill will towards the other half of the Gates family, but love Chip. I'm going to take Texas. Ole Miss goes to Auburn. This one is 7:00 on ESPN Saturday night. You're going to take Lane Kiffin, or are you going to take War Eagle?
Do you even know Auburn's head coach?
Not at the moment, no.
No, me neither.
No.
But Auburn is favored.
Who is Auburn's head coach? I should know this.
He was their defensive because they fired Malzahn.
Yeah, I knew that.
He was their defensive coordinator, I think.
No, I don't know who it is.
Auburn is the favorite, but I'm taking Ole Miss. I think Corral's playing. I don't think he's hurt. I think he played last week. I'm going to take Ole Miss.
Did you get into my notes? Or you're just trying to take all my picks? Is that what you're doing?
We had like the first 4 picks were different this week.
Oh, okay, whatever. I'm taking Ole Miss. I'm taking Ole Miss on the road. I think they are legitimate this year. I mean, they're not Alabama or Georgia, but maybe. You never know. Who beat Alabama?
Texas A&M.
Oh yeah, whatever. Ole Miss. I'm taking Ole Miss. Okay, to the Big Ten. A couple of unranked teams. Indiana goes to Maryland in a noon kickoff. Ooh. On Saturday. This is an ugly one. You gonna take Maryland, or are you taking the Hoosiers?
I just don't think Indiana is very good.
No, they're not.
I don't think Maryland is either.
No.
Give me Maryland, the home team. They're 5.5 point favorite as of now. I'll take them, I guess. I don't like either team.
Okay. I'm gonna take Maryland as well. Minnesota goes to Northwestern. A couple teams that also, well, one of them's not very good, and the other one's kind of inconsistent. You're going to take the inconsistent, or are you going to take the not very good team at home?
I'm going to take whichever one Minnesota is.
I'm taking Minnesota as well. And then Purdue, who beat Iowa to get into the top 25 and then got beat pretty good by Wisconsin. Now out of the top 25, heads to Nebraska. These are a couple of teams that we have kind of been we fluctuated on quite a bit this season. I think we started pretty low on Purdue, and then obviously they shot themselves up.
Yeah.
And Nebraska, we weren't really sure about after they lost to Illinois to start the season. You've had them fairly high in some of your power rankings. So this is an interesting one. Who are you taking, Purdue or Nebraska?
Purdue's coming off a loss. Nebraska's coming off a bye. Nebraska's at home. I'll take the Cornhuskers.
Okay. I'm going to take Purdue.
Wow. Okay.
On the road. Okay. I didn't think they were going to win at Wisconsin, which they didn't, or against Wisconsin, which they didn't. But I think they do have some things figured out. And I think Wisconsin is better than where we had them early in the season. So I'm going to take Purdue. Then a Big Ten West matchup. Iowa goes to Wisconsin. Iowa, who is now 6-1, ranked number 9 in the country, still trying to hold on to their. Do you turn the TV on?
An ad came up
for your screensaver.
I don't know.
No free ads. No free ads, Craig.
No free ads.
Iowa or Wisconsin. This one is in Madison. Who you taking?
How much does the loss to Purdue impact Iowa? That's the question. Did they?
Well, they've had a bye since then.
I know, but did Purdue expose things? No.
Probably. You go where your heart tells you, Craig.
I know. I'm talking out loud here.
Okay.
I'm thinking.
That's
out
how
loud
you
here,
normally talk. Yeah. Talking out loud is normally what you do. Yeah.
I'm going to take Wisconsin at home. They might have figured something out. They might not have. Maybe Iowa's not as good.
Okay.
Give me the Badgers.
Okay. I'm going to take Iowa. I think they'll continue to show that they're the best team on that side of the conference, and that will continue on this week. And then a couple of big ones. Well, one of them's not quite as big after this past week, but we've been looking ahead towards the point where the teams on the eastern side of the division of the conference would kind of separate themselves. And this is when that's going to start to happen. So Penn State goes to Ohio State. Ohio State, who is ranked number 5 in the country, 6-1 on the season. Their only loss so far is just Oregon. So they have not lost a conference game. Penn State, on the other hand, was looking really good, and then they went to Iowa and lost. And then, of course, they lost this past week to Illinois in quote unquote 9 overtimes. So is there any shot that Penn State takes down Ohio State? Are they going to be angry enough to pull off an upset in Columbus? This is the primetime game on ABC.
18.5 is the line for Ohio State.
We're not betting against the spread, Craig.
I'm just saying. Penn State was a top 10 team last week.
I know.
What would the line be if they had beaten Illinois? 10?
15? I don't know.
Anyways.
12.
Ohio State isn't losing the rest of the year until the playoff. So I'll take Ohio State.
Yeah, I will as well. Penn State was looking pretty good. But at this point, they're pretty much done. And I mean, if they pull it off, they might be in a better spot, but right now, no, doesn't look like it. I agree with you. I don't think Ohio State loses the rest of the season. I'm picking Ohio State. And then the really big one, this one is the noon kickoff on Fox, the battle in Michigan. This one's in East Lansing. Number 6, Michigan, 7-0 at number 8, Michigan State, I believe also 7-0.
Yes.
Are you said earlier, you're not all in on Michigan State.
Right.
And you and I both have Michigan in our number 2 spot in the conference at this point.
Yes.
Does that mean you're going to take Michigan?
It does.
It does.
Yeah. Michigan line is 4.5 for the road team, which is Michigan. I think they get it done. I think Michigan State's undefeated season comes to an end, but still a great season by them already, no matter what. So
yeah, I would agree. I think Michigan. I'm not all in on Michigan either. But I think they're better than Michigan State.
Yep.
I still think there's a clear number 1 team in the conference, and then I think that you can make an argument for potentially any of the other 4 to be in those next 4 spots, however order you wanted to put them in. But yes, I will also take Michigan. I think they will probably continue to be undefeated until they run into Ohio State. Lastly, the Fighting Illini, fresh off their upset on the road in 9 overtimes, hosting Rutgers. We mentioned it. This is a chance for Illinois to get a 4th win this season because Rutgers isn't very good either.
Mm-hmm.
Are you taking the Illini at home, or are you going to take Rutgers?
Can Illinois duplicate what they did last week? That's the question. Or is it going to be the same?
Run the ball?
Is it going to be the same game plan? Are they going to try out 7 linemen out there?
They don't have a choice.
Right. But is it as effective now that teams can prepare for it? Is kind of what I'm thinking. My Illinois football pessimistic brain is going to take Rutgers. I don't know why. I do know why. Quarterback issues. I don't know. Maybe it's like the Cardinals prediction thing that I did where I picked the other team. That way, if the other team wins, I'm happy that I picked the winner right. But if Illinois wins, I'm happy because Illinois won. So I'm going to take Rutgers.
All right. Okay. I'm going to take Illinois. I'm going to take Illinois to win with Art Sitkowski riding the bench in the Art Sitkowski Bowl.
Yeah.
Illini.
Yeah.
I don't think either of these teams are very good. But Illinois obviously put something together this past week. Can they replicate it? No idea. But at this point, why the heck not? I'm going to take the Illini.
Good.
So there you have it. Those are our picks for the week. We will see if Craig can continue to close the gap on me, or if I will expand my lead back a little bit. Busy week ahead for college football. Let's transition to college basketball. We are like 2 weeks away from the college basketball season officially kicking off. Illinois played their first exhibition game this past weekend. This was on Friday, correct?
Saturday
after the football game. After the football game. Yes, correct. Did you watch this? Did you subscribe to Big Ten Plus? You use somebody's account to watch Big Ten Plus. Got it.
No, I did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I watched the first half. It was a 30-point game at half. So I was like, I've seen enough. Don't need to watch the second half. So yes, okay. I watched the first half Saturday. It was like 51-12 or something at halftime. And
what did you learn?
Nothing.
Okay. That's what I figured the answer
would be. Austin Hutcherson looked good. Good. It's one of those things where you can't take too much away because they were playing guys like us. Like it was like a rec team that they were playing at Illinois. So, but it was good to see Austin Hutcherson out there. I think he scored 11 or 13 points. Had a very athletic putback rebound. It wasn't a dunk. It was like he grabbed it and laid it back in. Kofi and Curbelo looked good.
Hutcherson had 14 points.
14. Okay. Coleman Hawkins also
7
had,
rebounds.
13.
Coleman had 13.
13. Yeah.
Kofi had 14. Curbelo had 11. Trent had 10.
Yeah. 101 to 53 or something.
No, 30 something. 101 to 34.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. St. Francis didn't even score 40 points.
Yeah.
I did not watch any of this game. But yeah, there's literally nothing you can take away from this other than the fact that these guys are actually playing in front of fans at home for the first time in over a year. You have players like Curbelo and Coleman Hawkins, who are sophomores on this team, but have yet to play a single game at State Farm Center in front of fans. So even with only a crowd of about 10,000 or I guess 13,000, whatever it was, I'm sure that it was nice to at least be able to see that.
Did you see the video of Curbelo?
That was my moment of the week.
Oh, okay.
That was the only thing that I did see from this game. So I saw you retweeted it, and yes, the play. Are you talking about him coming off the bench?
Yeah.
Yes. So the St. Francis player fell at the end of a play or whatever, and he put his hands up to have one of his teammates come over and help him up or whatever, and they all just kind of walked away. And then Curbelo, who's sitting on the end of the Illinois bench, sees the kid. I watched him. He was watching the play the whole time, and he sees the guy sitting on the ground, and he runs off the bench, has his towel on and everything, grabs at the guy's hand, helps him up off the ground, and then runs back to the bench. Great. It was a highlight. That was the highlight for me. I didn't watch anything else from that game, but that was just kind of fun.
Yeah. My tweet about it's going to be my line all year. Andre Curbelo is your favorite player's favorite player. I love that. Cubs fans used to say that about Javi.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say that.
I think they probably
that's my
still
Curbelo thing.
They probably still do. So Illinois wins that first exhibition game 101-34. They will now play one more exhibition game on Friday of this week. They will host Indiana out of Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Whatever that means. Another chance for these players to get in front of some people and show off their skills. So Craig.
Bought tickets to the Arizona game today.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Craig's going to a basketball game. That's exciting.
Yeah. Me and a group of 5 other guys from back home. One of them an Arizona fan.
Okay.
Hitting up Champaign December 11th. I'm
That'll be a good time.
Excited to get the boys back together and also see some Illinois basketball as a fan and not a reporter.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Also, this is a totally random fact, but I'm just looking at the schedule right now. The game after Arizona is against St. Francis, Pennsylvania. So the exhibition schedule, they played against St. Francis out of Illinois, and they played against a team from Indiana, Pennsylvania. So I don't know. That's just whatever. That's just kind of a weird little fun fact. A couple other basketball notes. The AP came out with their All-American teams. Kofi Coburn is a first-team All-American on that list. So kudos to everybody who voted for that, not Jeff Goodman. And all the other Seth Davis and everybody else that's saying Kofi Coburn's not even a third-team All-American or whatever it is. And then did you see the Sporting News? The guy from the Sporting News yesterday?
Number 3.
Put Illinois as number 3. Like, okay, let's back it up. As we said last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever those polls were starting to come out, I think I probably had them somewhere, 6 through 10. They came out at 11. Now this guy had him at 3. So, whatever. So that's cool. So yeah, we're a couple weeks away from the regular season starting up. The regular season kicks off Tuesday, November 9th against Jackson State. But as I mentioned, they do have one more exhibition game coming up this Friday before then. Also some notes related to Illinois basketball, positive and a negative. Couple guys having a couple former Illini to touch on. The positive being Ayo Dosunmu making his debut for the Chicago Bulls last week. The Bulls, who are now 4-0 on the season. Ayo had a fun debut. Did you watch that game live?
I can't watch it
just see
here.
the highlights? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you probably got to subscribe to League Pass.
$120 for only Bulls games. It's ridiculous.
Ayo, I think I did pull up his stats here. In that first game against Detroit, finished with 11 points. 7 points in 11 minutes. Yeah. 7 points in 11 minutes, but that included, 4 points in the span of like a few seconds.
Yeah.
Got he got a lay-in, and then they got a steal, and then they gave him the ball back. And I don't know. It was a fun little thing. I'm sure people saw it on Twitter, but quick 4 points in about 2 seconds for Ayo the other night. In the Bulls' first game this season. He hasn't played a ton since he did play 11 minutes in their third game against Detroit. He played 2 minutes against New Orleans, and he did not play their most recent game against Toronto. But the Bulls are 4-0 to start the season. So that's exciting for all those Bulls fans out there. On the negative note, though, former Illini Adam Miller tore his ACL. Adam, who we expected to be a very central part of this Illini team this year, who then ultimately transferred to LSU. Unfortunately, the word last week is that he tore his ACL. So not good, not something you want to hear. Wanted to see him have some success. Happy for him to go to a place that he thought he might have. I don't know. I'm not going to get back into the Adam Miller thing, but that was at least sad to see that's how the season's going to go for him. So hopefully he can recover from that, and he can, go on his quest to be an NBA lottery pick like he hopes he can be. So let's.
Is it just me, or is tearing your ACL becoming more and more common? Was it always? I don't know
that it's necessarily more and more common.
I just feel like every year more people tear. When we were kids, or not kids, but like when we were in college, I feel like you didn't hear about ACLs as often as you do now. I feel like it's every week someone's tearing their ACL.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen frequently. I will say that. I don't know that it's necessarily any more or less, but yeah, that certainly does happen frequently, which is very unfortunate. Unfortunate for Adam. Hope he can get that back together and be back on the court for LSU next season. Let's talk baseball. We mentioned at the top of the show, the World Series starts tonight as we're recording this. By the time the show comes up or gets uploaded, we will already have had one game in the books. Braves Astros, probably not the World Series people anticipated. The Dodgers, who, people figured to be the favorites, they kind of fell apart in the NLCS. Well, really the whole playoffs. I mean, they still got past whoever they played, your Cardinals, and they got past the Giants in the playoffs, but the injury bug continued to hit them. I mean, they lost Max Muncy before the playoffs started. Kershaw didn't pitch at all during the playoffs. Justin Turner had some injury issues. Cody Bellinger, who was out wasn't out all season. He was either hurt or terrible all season. At least bounced back for the postseason, and him and Chris Taylor really kind of carried that team. Two players who were non-existent, at least for the second half of the season, Taylor's perspective. The Dodgers were bounced despite their midseason acquisition of Max Scherzer and whatever his name is, Trey Turner. Did I say Trey Turner earlier? I meant Josh Turner is the one that got hurt.
You just said Turner.
Whatever. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm just losing everything. I'm just losing my mind. Yesterday was a long day. Either way, baseball, the Braves. What I wanted to talk about was the Braves. This is a Braves team that lost one of their two best offensive players. You could make an argument for either Freddie Freeman or Acuna. But Acuna went down about the midway point of the season. And at that point, I think everybody's kind of just assumed the Braves season was done. But they went out and they filled these gaps by getting these, I don't want to say cast-offs necessarily, but bringing a guy like Eddie Rosario, who was non-tendered and then traded to the Braves in basically a cash dump. He's gone off. Jock Peterson, who the Dodgers really didn't want anything to do with. The Cubs signed him and then traded him for a prospect. You have guys like Jorge Soler, and they've just who hasn't even touched the field, but they just built this thing, whatever it is. They made the playoffs. They won like 88 games. That East we thought was going to be a very, difficult division with lots of wins, and that really wasn't the case. But the Braves are playing for a World Series for the first time in I don't know how many years. So to me, that's the coolest part of all this. The Astros or whatever. Everybody kind of hates the Astros at this point for all the stuff that happened a few years ago, rightfully so. They're still a talented group of baseball players, whether or not they're cheating. But that was kind of expected, I would say. But the Braves are definitely the story for me. And
Moneyball,
Charlie Morton,
man.
It is a little bit of Moneyball. Charlie Morton, as I said, he just seems to be one of those pitchers that just gets better as he gets older. It's incredible. He's got to be, how old is he now? 30.
He's 36,
35, 36. He's
something like that.
He just seems to be getting better every year. So we'll see if the Braves magic can continue on.
I'll be in Atlanta that weekend. This weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be in Atlanta. I won't be going to the games.
Because you were there was that story because you had tickets for an NLCS game.
Got offered, happen. I had 2 tickets that we could have gotten to the game 6 of the CS in Atlanta, but not worth the trip for that. And then we're going down this weekend to see my girlfriend's family in Atlanta. So we're going to do back-to-back weeks, but I'll be in Atlanta Thursday through Sunday, which is when the Braves are going to be there. Obviously
that's
not
going to
be
in that city.
Yeah. Not going to be able to get tickets to the World Series. No way. No. But we'll be in and around the area, which will be pretty cool.
That's dope. So happy to see them. As I said, the Astros, it is what it is. They're certainly one of the best teams in all of baseball, and they deserve to be there. And I'll leave it at that. So game 1 is tonight. By the time this episode comes up,
who you got?
Already have seen the winner. In game 1 or in the series?
Series.
My heart tells me the Braves, but my head tells me the Astros. Kind of one of those situations. I think I'd love to see the Braves do it. What?
I think both my heart and head say Braves.
Well, it's certainly possible. I think the Astros are probably the better team, but the Braves are clicking right now. So
I like the Braves pitching a lot better.
Yeah, that's
Astros
fair.
Don't have McCullers. Who are the Astros starters right now? Valdez,
After Valdez,
Garcia.
Yeah, I don't love their pitching. I don't love their pitching either. I think I would still take the Braves. Yeah. I would like to see them do it. I think their offense has looked good, and they have probably the pitching advantage. So
I bet it goes 6 or 7.
I'll take the Braves. I'll take the Braves in 7.
Yeah, I think it goes 6 or 7 for sure. It ends back in Houston.
Yeah. I agree. So, yeah, that's baseball. We are almost to the end of the baseball season. That always makes me sad. But the Cardinals hired a manager this week. Your boy Ollie Marmol, who is a name that we had mentioned as a potential candidate. He was one of the very first names you mentioned, I believe, when we had our emergency pod. What can you tell the folks about Ollie Marmol? Anything? Anything positive?
He is, yeah. I mean, he's the youngest manager in baseball now. He's 35 years old. He's been the bench coach for the Cardinals the last 3 years. He played a little bit of minor league, but I don't remember if it was for the Cardinals or not. He might be another Cardinals lifer, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, he's been the bench coach for 3 years, so he's been under Schilt for the last 3 years, sitting right next to him, helping make decisions. Yeah, the night that Schilt got fired on the podcast, I said he's the most likely candidate, and it came to fruition. Just from what John Mozeliak said in the press conference when they fired Schilt about having quality internal candidates and everything that he said made us, everyone, believe that Marmol was kind of the guy, and I think he was option A from the start. Initial reaction, I was a little confused, which my tweet conveyed the night that the news broke, which would have been Sunday night, I believe. I was like, so I guess when you fire a guy for philosophical differences, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to promote someone that was on that coaching staff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's also possible that the guy they promoted didn't have the same thoughts.
That was the second half of the tweet. That's kind of what I was saying was, so either Marmol was lying to Schilt and helping him make decisions that he didn't agree with, or he's lying now, not lying, but it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, after hearing him on Monday and kind of doing a little more research, I'm all for it. I'm on board. He's a young guy that I believe trusts the numbers and analytics, which is the way the front office wants to go. And a couple of my friends and I agree that John Mozeliak is running the organization. So Ollie Marmol has conveyed to Mo that, hey, I'll be your puppet. I'll do whatever you want. I just want the job. And I think that's what it comes down to. And Mo, that's what Mo wanted. He wants everyone to go along with what he wants to happen. So that's what he got. But I do like it. I do like the move. And to have a guy that the current players are familiar with, just shift one seat over and make some decisions is I think good. But like I said, he's 35, so he's 5 years younger than his Hall of Fame battery in Adam Wainwright and Yadi Molina. So what does that tell you?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll have to see how that works. Yeah, I literally know nothing about the guy. So hope. Yeah,
he's not a big name in the baseball world. I don't think people outside of St. Louis probably knew who he was.
But that's okay. I was still hoping for Yachty to pull the dual roles, but it's fine. Whatever. Maybe that'll happen once in my lifetime, but probably not.
I do think he might be the first. I think he's definitely the first Latino Cardinals manager. But okay. I think it's the first minority. It has to be first minority manager. Which there was a reporter from I think the Dominican, I think is where he's from, or Puerto Rico, one of the two. There was a reporter asking a question in Spanish, and Marmol answered the whole question in Spanish, and the whole time I was just like fascinated, like, because you can tell how much they appreciate answering questions from their home. Like he almost lit up. Like you could see his face light up when he was asking the question, and he was able to speak in his language to that reporter. It was really cool, and I like that too. It, like when Pedro Gomez used to ask questions in Spanish to the players, and like all the Latino players would get really excited when he asked them questions like that. So that was a cool moment, and it's cool for the Cardinals to head that direction.
Did you see, speaking of questions in Spanish and that type of stuff, did you happen to see the video from the WNBA press conference with Diana Taurasi answering a question in Spanish and Brittany Griner sitting next to her, like like shit, that was funny. That's whatever. Oh yeah, go Sky. All right, we've covered a lot of sports stuff. Do you want to touch on some of your TV shows this week? Anything you want to talk about?
There is a Masked Singer that you should watch.
Okay, you're going to
watch The Hamsters. All of his performances. All his see if you can find his performances.
Okay.
And then
I can. I looked at them all the time on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna watch The Hamster. Cool. I will do that.
That's who went home last week, and you would appreciate it.
All right. I love a good tip. Cool.
Did you watch the Manning cast last night?
No, I didn't. I got home and we watched SNL. Jason Sudeikis, that the devil thing weekend update, that was great. Love that. So we watched that, and then I took a shower and did some other stuff around the house, and I was in bed super early last night because I was tired. So no, I did see some of the highlights. I saw Marshawn drop an F-bomb. I love the Manning cast. I don't watch all of it. I don't watch it every time, but I like what they're doing with that. I know people are like, why don't they just call the game? But I like that better. I like the
I love the interviews
thing better. They don't want to travel. They don't want to go be in a booth and wear a suit and all that stuff. They just want to sit on their couch and watch football and just talk shop with other football players and whoever they can bring on. I mean, I think that's cooler than just,
you learn so much more.
Yeah. I enjoy it. As I said, I haven't watched all of them, but I definitely enjoy that. I did see Marshawn's thing. So between Eli's middle finger and Marshawn's F-bomb, they're definitely on a hot streak. So as I mentioned last week, I did not get to see Dune this week. I'm pretty I will get there. I'm getting there tomorrow. So that's the big release this week.
Didn't Dune and Eternals come out?
Eternals is next week.
Oh, okay.
I'm already kind of disappointed by Eternals, and I haven't even seen the movie or seen very many reviews, but I know that one's going to disappoint me.
Did someone spoil it?
Yeah, I guess. And I honestly, I muted a bunch of Eternals related words on Twitter before the premiere, so that I would not see much of anything, and I've avoided most everything. But yes, apparently there's some headline out there spoiled the post-credit scene, maybe, I guess. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen it. I was really hyped up for that movie, and I don't know that it's going to get there for me. But Dune, I'm very excited about Dune. I'm going to go see that tomorrow in IMAX. So very excited about that. I will have that to talk about next week. So anything else, Craig, that you want to talk about? Thumbs up from you. Thumbs up from the Avengers. Good. Craig's rocking his very nerd shirt today. I love it.
Nerd alert.
Nerd alert. We missed a golden opportunity to dress up for Halloween today, since this is quote unquote our Halloween episode, because Halloween is this weekend. So
I can give the viewers a preview of my costume.
Oh, do you have your Ted Lasso suit coming up?
No, you spoiled it.
Oh, shoot. Darn.
Never mind.
Do it anyway. Come on. Give the people what they want. This is quality content right here. I should be a play-by-play broadcaster. Craig has covered his screen, and he is about to show us his Halloween costume. Well, he doesn't want us to know. Oh, he's back.
I wasn't going to say what it was, and I was just going to hold these up.
I don't even know what you're holding in your right hand. Oh, you're a soccer referee. You are soccer dad. Nope. You're gonna be Ted Lasso. I love it. Love Ted Lasso.
Yeah. That's why I haven't shaved in a month.
Oh, that's your reason? You're just gonna have the mustache?
Yeah.
You're gonna shave everything else and leave the mustache?
Yeah.
Attaboy. I love it. Cool. But yeah, we missed that opportunity to dress up because Halloween is this weekend. So to those of you that celebrate have a great Halloween. Last year at this time, I already had my Christmas lights up. That probably won't be happening this week. So, no, we don't need you to blow the whistle on into the microphone. Let's not do that. All right, we're going to shut it down. We are about an hour and a half in, and I think that's probably a good time to end this thing. So don't forget to give us a follow at No One Asked Us Pod. He's at Craig W. Choate. I'm at the Logan Lee. Shoot us an email. No One Asked Us 2021@gmail.com. We will be back next week for episode 39 of No One Asked Us. When we come back next week, Craig, it will be November. Holy moly.
Still not Christmas time.
You bite your tongue. My lights will be up soon. Just soon. And I'll start listening to Christmas music, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Yeah, that's going to be it for us. It'll be November when we come back next week, so that's fun. And basketball season. It'll be college basketball season by the time we have our next show. Will our next episode be our official college basketball preview episode?
Yeah,
Are we going to have like 17 interviews lined up with all sorts of college basketball people? No, probably not. Okay.
Probably not. We've had 2 interviews in 38 episodes.
Yeah, whatever. That's going to do it for us. For Craig Choate, I'm Logan Lee. We will see you guys next week. Let's end this thing with there's 58 days till Christmas. Bye!